The sun is coming up, a new day is at hand. I said the sun is coming up, a new day is about to begin. Jesus is coming again. Yes, he is.
Hello everyone, this is another End Times 4565 video, and I've been doing some more research on the news information that I just put out and finding some interesting information. And this is probably old news for some of you quote-unquote Nibiru people or Planet X people, but you know, I try to get the right information. I don't like calling these objects names. I just like to say the incoming objects. Now, in light of Dr. Zach's, I'm going to call him Dr. Zach, his information from Russia, I did some more digging in, and I came up with some interesting information. Like I said, it's probably old news to you. But what I'm finding, ladies and gentlemen, are facts. And these facts are, to be honest with you, they're quite disturbing. Not because I've said the incoming objects are going to cause a pole shift and that, and I know this is coming. It's going to happen. And but what happens is, in a person's life, as we sit and talk about these things, and as the days go by, reality becomes truly real. And, you know, it just kind of bothers us in a way that makes us think, you know. I know there are some trolls and people out there that's going to laugh. They always do. I read in the Bible where Noah was told to build a boat because it was going to rain, and he built this boat for 120 years, and for 120 years they laughed, but it wasn't funny when it started raining. And so I'm just wondering, it's not going to be funny when these incoming objects begin to affect the planet. Now, some people have been saying that these incoming objects were going to approach in September and December of last year, which has just went by, and we see no objects. However, sightings are becoming quite the normal. As a matter of fact, the Chinese news is already posting images and discussing these objects. In Spain, on their news, they're already discussing these objects. In Germany, they're discussing these objects. In Russia, they're discussing these objects. In the United States, we are discussing the transition period for the new president. Ladies and gentlemen, if Dr. Zach is correct, this could be earth shaking. Now, here's what I found out. Now, and I want to read you a little bit of this, okay? It says, starting with Robert Harrington, inexplicable death in 1991, Western scientific experts with a desire to publicize insider information on Nibiru have mysteriously perished or had their academic and employment histories expunged from public view. A few died under truly strange circumstances. Now, let's take a look at some of these people. Now, this here, ladies and gentlemen, is Dr. Robert S. Harrington. It says, will future generations remember this man for discovering Planet X? Dr. Robert S. Harrington, supervising astronomer, U.S. Naval Observatory. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it's a fact that Dr. Harrington died under suspicious circumstances. And right after that, something else happened. But I want to show you a short interview with this doctor before his death. Just take a couple of minutes.
You wish to tell us in a few minutes the nature of those discoveries?
I'd be happy to, and you're absolutely right. As a matter of fact, the date on here, I was just noticing, is 14 August 1978, which was just about 6 weeks after we discovered the fact that Pluto has a satellite. Once you have a satellite for a planet, you can determine how heavy it is. It turns out Pluto was very much smaller and lighter weight than we had thought, which meant that Pluto has no influence, no appreciable influence on the motions of the planets Uranus and Neptune. At that point, we voiced a hypothesis that this means that there is at least one yet to be discovered planet in the outer reaches of the solar system, and this naturally led directly to you and your interest in what we're doing, and that's when you sent me this book.
You have then postulated the existence or the appearance in some time years ago of a celestial body which you, I think, named in that paper an intruder.
Yes.
Which may have collided with or somehow turned on their side both Uranus and Pluto.
It did a lot more than that, as a matter of fact. In that paper, we hypothesized that this intruder passed very close to Neptune, that it dislodged one of what we didn't think were many satellites of Neptune. One of them became the planet Pluto. We actually think Pluto was an escaped satellite of Neptune. This will also take the orbit of Triton, the big satellite of Neptune, and reverse it. We'll take the orbit of the satellite Nereid and extend it outwards. We can produce all of the observed aspects of the satellite system of Neptune plus Pluto's orbit just with this one single intruding planet. Now, one of the things we did in 1978, having made this prediction that there was an additional planet, 10th or 12th, depending on your point of view, but it's the next one, we sort of put our money where our mouth was, as it were. We went out and we started looking for this thing. And we've been searching for 12 years for this thing. We've been able to refine the search area somewhat, get it rather narrowed down. We do our predictions based on the observed anomalies in Uranus and Neptune. We actually are currently looking down in the region of Centaurus, which is just south of the constellation Libra, but very close to the area that you've talked about.
I think, Dr. Harrington, you have a pretty good picture, at least in your own mind, of what we are talking about, a big planet, a small planet.
Well, if it is in the kind of orbit that we describe here, it would have to be a planet that would have a mass something like 3 to 5 times the mass of the Earth. This would put it intermediate between the gaseous planets like Uranus and Neptune and the terrestrial planets that we have in the inner part of the solar system. So if this planet turns out to be in a 3,600-year orbit, then its mass would be correspondingly larger. But we're talking about something it's a perfectly reasonable kind of planet. It looks like a good, nice planet, small enough that it's not going to be completely enveloped in gas, so it's perfectly capable of supporting life forms of one kind or another. This one here is a map of the solar system, where we think it is right about now in its orbit. This is your orbit for the planet, and showing that it would come out of Sagittarius in biblical time, and that once you allow for precession, it would be around into Libra by now.
So now, ladies and gentlemen, that we've done that, I want to read some more of this here. It says, Alan Sandage suddenly developed a rare tropical disease despite never having visited the tropics. And let's take a look and see if this is a real person. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this would be Dr. Sandage, okay? He mysteriously died, by the way. He was also the Hubble guy, but he also had information on the incoming objects. It says, coincidentally, perhaps, astronomer Brian Godfrey Marsden dropped dead from the same illness 2 nights before he was scheduled to attend an astronomy seminar in Brisbane. And he is here, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, another mysterious disappearance. Now, I've just shown you a couple, 3 here. And, of course, there are some that no one's been able to confirm as being NASA people, never a straight answer anyway. And there are some 4 or 5 others that can be confirmed, ladies and gentlemen. They're no longer with us as well. However, now we have this Dr. Zakovich. And it says, until recently, little information was known about what consequences befall Russian scientists who leaked information about the black star and its 7 orbiting planets. Thanks to the efforts of Dr. Zakovich, a Russian astronomer and graduate of Russia's prestigious Lomov Moscow State University, that is spelled Lomonov, Moscow State University, new information sheds light on once closely guarded secrets locked behind the Iron Curtain. According to Zakovich, in 1983, Russia, then the Soviet Union, imaged the Nibiru system using its own deep space infrared telescope. The timing, possibly by coincidence, coincides with NASA's first authenticated photographs of Nibiru taken with its infrared astronomical satellite, a platform funded, designed, and created specifically to find and track Nibiru. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this Dr. Zakovich, he went to Germany. He went to Germany, and he did a seminar. He was doing an interview and a seminar in Germany here just very recently. And it says here that astronomers, okay, at any rate, he was doing the interview and they stopped the interview, asked him to leave, and told him that the interview was now over as soon as he mentioned Nibiru. Now, he says that the doctor says he fears for his life. He said last week he appeared as a guest on German television show RAUM. I can't speak German. He began exploring the theories of Nibiru through the referred to it by a less sinister name, Planet X. But the producers ordered the cameras to be turned off. Dr. Zakovich was asked to leave the studio. He returned to Moscow the following morning. Although the episode has never aired and he has barely uttered the word Nibiru, the doctor is convinced he is being monitored by foreign forces within Russia's borders. He says, maybe because I spoke in Germany, they think I crossed the line, he told the reporter in Russia. I have received vague yet threatening emails to my private email account on my home computer. I may very well be under surveillance. I am scheduled to appear at an astronomy conference in Paris. But Russian President Vladimir Putin personally telephoned the doctor and urged him to excuse himself from the conference and not to travel outside of Russia. Now, ladies and gentlemen, This is Dr. Zakovich. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know that as I continue to dig into this information, I'm finding it most interesting. Now, with that being said, let's see if I can find... There was someone that made a comment, said that, well, he should know when it's going to hit and where. I had something here for you about what the doctor said. I think it's somewhere's here. He said he did give a time, ladies and gentlemen. I think I mentioned it, February. I think his date was February 13th. It was February the 13th. He said he didn't know, he knew when, but he didn't know where yet. And the reason he didn't know where yet, ladies and gentlemen, is because the orbit is it's too erratic because of the magnetic fields and the gravity of the planets. Now, this thing is moving 26,000 miles an hour. And it's not just one, ladies and gentlemen, confirmed 2 objects. Now, the objects have been confirmed. That's for sure. Now, NASA has said they're close flybys. That may be true. The Zakovich here says that he calculates one is a little too close. In fact, he calculates impact. Now, his impact, not knowing where, is because they have him in seclusion, ladies and gentlemen. He can only get what data he can get. Now, if this man survives, he may end up disappearing, and then everything just kind of cool off. But I'm continuing to do investigation, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not trying to be a fearmonger. Believe me. And I am fact-checking myself. Fact-checking myself. So before all these other guys start hitting on this, I want you to know, I'm fact-checking myself, okay? Me and my wife are feverishly working on this information. And so with that being said, have a good evening. And this has been another update from End Times 4565.